Welcome to Healthy Cooking, and today we're going to make a chili potato soup. A very easy soup to make once you have the base. Before you make the soup, it's actually really good to make your own stock. And I talk about stocks all the time, that they're a very healthy, nutritious way to make soups, casseroles, stews. They're a great base to make. I actually make my stock, freeze them, and I have a whole pile of fresh chicken stock or chicken broth or beef broth. Those are the two ones I make. You can also make fish stock as well and make a chowder if you like chowders, fish chowders. So the first part we're going to talk about is how do you make a very healthy stock to cook with. And the first part is, and I've got mine on the go right now. The first part is you always start with cold water. So you fill up your pot 3/4 full with cold water. Then you use some nice flavor building vegetables. That's always the onion family. Onion, carrots, celery. Usually twice as much onion as carrots and celery. I always put a little bit of leek in there. They're always available at the supermarket. We walk by them all the time. They have tremendous flavor. So don't forget to put a little bit of leek in there if you like leek. So we've got carrots, celery, onions, leek. You can put in a little bit of garlic if you like garlic. I love garlic, so I put garlic in there. Now you can use the bones. So the bones of the chicken you can use. Now if you don't have bones, you can actually take pieces of chicken leg, chicken breast, like I've got here, which will give you a nice broth. I usually take the skin off, pull the meat on, and this meat then goes into the soup that you're making. So if I was making a chili potato soup, I could actually make a chili chicken and potato soup by just adding the chicken broth and adding the chicken meat. But if you want to keep it without the chicken in, you can just take the broth, and you don't have to make a broth each time. You can have it in the freezer where you make a soup. You're still going to get all those benefits of the broth. And the benefits of the broth, of a chicken broth, is first of all, they give a massive boost to the immune system. They've got all these nutrients in them that help fight disease, and this is why when you're sick, most of the time they'll give you a bowl of soup, and a bowl of soup really does help you a lot. It's going to help you with all these kind of nutrients that are in there, and you can almost make it fat free, and you can make it sodium free, and we said the big killers is sugar, fat and salt or sodium. So by taking it, putting the whole pot once it's finished cooking, and actually putting it into a sink of cold water, allowing it to cool down, then putting it into containers, straining it into containers, and then freezing it, you can capture the goodness of this stock in containers, and then whenever you're making a soup, whenever you're making a casserole or a stew, you just pull one of these out and off you go. This is good for 4 people right here. So, how do we make this healthy broth? So, we start with cold water. We're going to add our chicken pieces, and if you don't have pieces, just bones. So, your chicken pieces, but what I like to do is add, like I said, the legs. If you can pick up legs, are very inexpensive. Just put legs in, you're going to have all that meat that'll fall off the bone that will go right into the soup at the end. And you're going to add your flavor building vegetables. Onions, carrots, celery, leeks. Always lots of onion, don't be scared to put leeks. I put garlic in. We're going to add a little bit of thyme. Probably for a pot this size, you're looking, let's say we're making 5 liters, you're probably looking at a teaspoon of thyme is going to give you good flavor. A little bit of marjoram. Marjoram is excellent in stock. I always add a little bit of pepper and bay leaf. So if you have a bay leaf, I put bay leaves in lots of soups and stews. They help flavor. You can put them in. They get strained out at the end. So a little bit of bay leaf in there as well. That's basically all you really need to know, except a chicken stock or broth will cook for about 3 hours on the stove. very low heat, just simmering gently away, reduced down, you get this tremendous flavor. Cooks for about 3 hours. A beef stock, if you've got nice big beef bones, I'll cook for about 5 or 6 hours, a little bit longer for a beef stock. The longer the stock's going to be cooking for, the larger the vegetables. So a fish stock will only cook for 45 minutes. Cut your vegetables very small. A chicken stock, cut them medium, and then a beef stock, you cut them nice big pieces because they're going to be on the stove for 5 to 6 hours. So once you've got your stock finished and it's cooked for 3 hours, in this case it's a chicken broth, you can actually turn the heat off, let it cool down. I usually just put a sink of ice water, put my stock in there, strain it into containers, and then it goes into the freezer. Take it out whenever you need it. So great way, very healthy. You're going to get all those nutrients from the vegetables. You're going to get the protein from the chicken. You're going to get all these cancer fighting vegetables, and it's going to help you with cardiovascular disease because you're not going to have any fat, because actually when you cool it down you can almost lift that little thin layer of fat off, so you can take all the fat off the chicken. So stock, chicken and beef are the most popular, but you can make fish. Just make sure when you make fish you only use the nice white bones. Don't use fatty bones like salmon or herring or anything like that. It becomes too strong and overpowering for the soup. So things like whitefish, things like halibut, sole, anything from the flounder family. Very lean fish. It's a very lean fish, but it gives you a great stock for a chowder base. Chicken, good for almost anything. That's why I make chicken quite often. It's great for stews, casseroles, everything that you make. You can have chicken stock, and beef stock as well. Beef stock is very popular as well, but the most popular is chicken, and that's why I made chicken today. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to get rid of all these vegetables and seasonings and everything that you would put into your stock, because you can see that it's really, and make sure you do start it in cold water, because in cold water there's certain proteins that are dissolved only in cold water. So you want to start your stock in a nice cold chilled water, put them in, bring it to the boil, and then any impurities we skim off. And you can actually skim off any fat as it comes along. But if you don't have time to skim it off, at the end when you chill it, you refrigerate it, you'll see you can take that fat layer off, pop it into containers, so you can make it fat free, sodium free, and it's just a great tasting broth for making everything. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a chili potato soup using the broth. So if you do like soups, this is a great soup to make, lots of flavor. What we're going to do is just take a small pot. I'm only making it for 4 people. There's 2 ways to make it. The recipe that you'll see at the end is by cooking the potatoes, pureeing the potatoes, sauteing the vegetables, and adding the sauteed vegetables. I'm going to show you a very simple way of taking that recipe that I give you at the end and actually just making a very simple soup from it without pureeing the vegetables. And the only reason I do that is because I do like nice big pieces of potato in my soup, whereas some people just want it more of a smooth puree type soup. So let's just take a look now at this. We're going to warm up the pan a little bit. I'm going to use a very small amount of olive oil. I've only got a tiny bit left in there, but just a teaspoon of olive oil. We're going to take a few different vegetables here. I'm going to use my onion, and I can take this, and because I want it a nice big kind of flavorful soup, I'm going to take nice big pieces of onion. We're going to pop those onions in. Make sure you can hear that sizzle when you put it in, because we want to develop the flavor of the vegetables. You will be doing this anyway, sauteing them. Just take that root out there. Just sometimes the root is a little bit bitter. And we're just going to put those onions in. And we're going to cook them off. So turn it down low. Allow the onions to cook. And as they cook and break down and soften up, you can actually get your other vegetables ready. I'm going to use green peppers. Green peppers are excellent. I'll use some nice big pieces. You'll see this is almost like a stew, not a soup. So we'll take some nice green peppers. We're going to pop those in as well. Green peppers in. Again, this will be for about 4 people. We'll take seeds out. We're going to use some red pepper. This is going to give you lots of color. And we already know that the most healthy vegetables are the bright colored vegetables. So we're going to take the nice red pepper, put the red pepper in. And we're going to just cook these down. You'll see that they cook right down. I haven't used the potatoes in there yet because this is going to be a nice chunky soup if you like. So you can use any kind of peppers. So if you wanted to use dried peppers, you could use just any kind of chili pepper that you want. You could actually chop it up a little bit and put it in and allow that flavor to develop. I'm going to use a nice serrano chili. Just take it and you can remove the seeds and you remove the membrane as well if you don't want it too hot. In this case, I do want it a little spicy, so I'm going to keep a little bit of that membrane in. We're going to take the chili pepper and we're just going to chop it up nice and fine, put it in with the vegetables. And then I have an optional little bit of ham if you like ham. Now ham does have salt in, so you're going to have a little bit of sodium. This is just a little bit of Black Forest ham. And what I like to do is just cut that up, put the ham in, and this is going to give you a little bit of salt, but it's also going to give you a lot of flavor. Years ago when we used to make soups, we used to start them in things like bacon fat, ham, because they're always good flavor builders for soups. So as we cook these in all together, we want to cook them right down. We want to make sure that they kind of all blend together, you get all those different flavors together. You can also use just a little touch of garlic if you want to use garlic. I pretty much put garlic in everything. This recipe doesn't actually call for garlic, but I'm going to put it in because it's one of my favorite things and it's actually a great flavor builder too. So we've got all these ingredients in now. They're all cooking away as this breaks down. And like I said, you can make any soup you like as long as you've got this beautiful base. So now we've got this nice chicken broth and we've got our vegetables in. So this part is so easy once you've got this nice flavorful broth. So as we cook this down and the onions start to soften, you'll see that they start to loosen and get soft. You'll see that you get lots and lots of different flavors building up in this. This will be your base of your soup. So by sauteing the vegetables a little bit, you're going to develop lots of flavor. And the more flavor you can develop in the soup, the less salt or seasonings we have to use at the end. But with a good stock and with lots of flavor in this, you shouldn't have to add too much seasoning at the end. And this is why it's healthy. We're going to take all the fat off the stock. We're going to have some nice flavorful vegetables. We're not going to cook them too long, and this is going to be this nice flavorful soup that's going to be great for fighting disease, great for boosting the immune system. So soups are very healthy, especially in the winter time. So what we're going to do is now take our cube potatoes. So now I've got these potatoes, nice big pieces, same as the vegetables. I'm going to put those potatoes in. Put the potatoes in, and we're just going to cover everything with the stock. So if we take this, pop that one in, just give it a stir, make sure everything goes in. Potatoes won't add any flavor to this. Potatoes are really just kind of the starch of the soup, if you like. We're going to take our stock, and if you take the stock where it's simmering, you'll get no you'll get no fat in there at all. But if you want to make sure you got no fat, chill it, put it into the fridge, and just remove the fat right off the top once it chills. So by putting this stock now and just covering the vegetables, you'll see that now we have this wonderful soup, which is almost like a stew. And what we're going to do is just let this simmer away until the potatoes are tender. Once the potatoes are tender, this soup is ready. And if you want, because we've got this stock, I can turn it off right now, we can take pieces of chicken, well, we would do it on the top, take these nice lean pieces of chicken, put the lean chicken in, healthy way to cook stock, a healthy way to make your soup, and there you have it. A very simple soup. You can finish this soup. So once these potatoes are cooked, there's a very simple method of just slightly thickening it and giving it a little richness. It's an option for this particular soup and actually other soups too, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. I'll just let this cook. Okay, so you'll need to test the potatoes. As soon as the potatoes are tender, which they are now, you don't want to leave it too long, otherwise the potatoes will all break down. And you do want to see those nice big pieces of potato and vegetables in there. There's a little bit of ham that will give you that little bit of saltiness without too much seasoning. You can add a little bit of black pepper, and you can, if you want, add just a little touch of salt just for the seasoning part of it. I've got myself a nice big bowl, and to finish this off, what we're going to do is take just one egg yolk. Now remember that if somebody's on a restricted diet for fat, if they have to reduce their cholesterol, then egg yolk has got a little bit of fat and cholesterol, so it's not the best thing, but it's great in a soup just to finish it, give it a little velvety, a little bit of richness. So if you can have it, this is kind of an old-fashioned technique called liaison, and we're using egg yolk and a little bit of skim milk, and we just put that little skim milk in, mix it together. Now whenever you add this to a soup, just to give that little bit of texture at the end, you turn the soup off. So the soup can't be boiling, otherwise it'll curdle almost right away. So it can be hot, it just can't be boiling. So once the soup is turned off, you can take a spoon, just take your mixed egg yolk and a little bit of skim milk and just fold it right into your soup, and that'll give a little bit of texture, give the soup a little bit of a different feel to it, but it'll still be lots and lots of flavor and very healthy. If you're looking at very low fat, no fat at all, then don't put the liaison. It's still an excellent soup without the liaison. This one just makes it a little bit more creamy and a little bit more of a different texture to it. You can take your vegetables, and you can see now that I keep them all nice and large. It's almost like a stew, this particular soup, but it's got a nice chili flavor. We've added a little bit of heat to it, so it has a different flavor altogether. We're just going to take some of these nice vegetables on top. It's got onions, a little bit of ham in there, and I think you'll probably enjoy this. I could put a little touch of parsley on top of that, but that's the finished soup. It's called a chili potato soup. You don't have to add the egg yolk at the end if you want. You may choose to add a little bit of the chicken, so you could take a piece of chicken that's in your stock that you made your broth from, you'll pull it right off into pieces like this. You can shred it, and just as you shred that chicken, you can put the chicken right into the soup, and you got yourself a chicken chili potato soup. Great on a winter's day, very, very healthy, will kind of boost your immune system and fight off all those ailments that you get through the winter. I'll see you next week on Healthy Cooking.